call is being
I
recorded.
shout out to you and Kai Kathy for that amazing, powerful call yesterday. I hope you all heard yesterday's call, and if you haven't, please, please, please get to the recording. It offered me so much power, which is net from now on. I'm coming in this call embraced and a whole lot of power, saying I got the power to move you. So prayerfully, the words that I share today not only encourages, but it gives you an insight on what my life looks like. So, man, I appreciate Kai and Kathy. I'm gonna probably come up with a brand called Kai and Kathy because they slammed yesterday's call, and I
Thank you.
appreciate everything that they shared, and it really, really, really empowered me. So much so, it sometimes you just have to hear it coming from another source to really understand what it is that you're doing. And that's what happened to me yesterday. I was in such a mindset that I didn't realize that I needed a call like yesterday. So it was very strategic. God just works like that. And I love when God gives me that wink and he gives me that encouragement to keep going. And that's exactly what I received yesterday. I'll reflect a little on what was talked about yesterday, but one thing that stuck out to me is turning strategy into action. And then following with that is how, like, this power thing is very important. So the power of, if I had to say, Minister Mooney, what am I really doing? And speaking to myself, I would probably say that I want to be equipped with the power to execute and build a legacy. And I hope you all are taking notes because that's really what I want to talk about today. I want to give you an insight on my mindset based off of what was shared yesterday. And I think it was phenomenal. So the momentum after mindset, because they opened up yesterday's call really talking about a couple key factors, but the first one was mindset. So I just wanted to acknowledge how powerful it was for them to introduce the steps of mindset. And I want you all to write this down. They talked about mindset. They talked about problem solving. They talked about partnerships, and leveraging systems. They talked about scalable systems and processes. And then they talked about empowerment and development. And that was so like, wow, from steps 1 to steps 5, they broke it down. And then this thing hit me and said, man, you know what? All these tools and principles are critical, but they mean nothing without action. So I want to talk to you all, and I'm talking to myself at the same time, of executing consistently and building a legacy that outlasts me and outlasts us all. And this is what I see coming from our CEO. I can't take all the credit. I can't take any credit. Um, the key point here is that I want to address the power of execution. Like, I hear, so in ministry we used to say, if you got an idea or if somebody comes up with an idea, we like, you be the one to take it in action. It's your idea. And ideas are so abundant, but the execution of the ideas are so rare. So the best plan in the world means nothing without action. So I'm thinking about when I always, well, not always, but I reflect on the first time I was exposed to Akana, then Wakana. And you heard me talk about this last week. And there was 5 people in the room. And Melissa Boston came out and did that presentation as if it was 100 people in the room. And it was only 5. It was my direct upline, Eric Strickland, myself, my wife, well, my girlfriend at the time, and 2 other people, right? So we had majority of the room, myself, Eric Strickland, my wife, and 2 other people. And I heard what was happening. I caught the vision. I asked Eric, how many people know about this? He gave me this grin. He gave me this smirk as if he was so like, he's getting it. He's about to take action, right? And he was like, nobody. I see that image in my head all the time because I knew he was looking in my brain and he knew that I was about to take action, just having history on me and my record. Action oriented. So what did I do? I opted in, and what was some of the first steps that I did? Man, I started. I actually bought gummies, right? I bought the product. I'm very frugal, and I still have the tube that I bought. It was around Father's Day, up in there around that time. I kind of had what kind of had a sale. It kind of had a sale, and it was a tube of gummies for 19.95. Bought that whole tube, and I started sharing the gummies. I just took action. And I find myself calling Mama Dorsey. I made phone calls and I packed out the room. I just took action. Now, that was the step that I took. And I'm looking at mindset, but looking at execution, like I said, whatever it is that was highlighted of what I'm doing now and everything that Kai and Kathy pointed out, it's very strategic, but what mattered was the action. So I took small steps. These are practical tips that I'm sharing. I took very small steps of what can I do today, right? I took action-oriented goals from that very first day within 24 hours, and I moved my business forward just by myself. I didn't have a team. Eric had a team, right? Eric, because I was joining his team, but I didn't have a team. So execution. Now, what needed to happen to some people may ask, Mr. Mooney, how did you build this team? The compound effect, and that's being consistent. So although I invited Margaret Dorsey and so many other people, I knew I had to do something that was consistent, right? See, consistency beats intensity. Let me say that one more time. Consistency beats intensity. It's not all about doing it's not all about what how do I say this? It's not about doing everything in one day, right? No, uh-uh. Really it's about how many different things that I can do daily and be consistent at it. So let me give you another example. Let me give you an example of what I do now that I feel is needed and consistent. I show up on every single morning's call. I try not to miss an event. I meet with my team. I don't care if it's one person on the call. I don't care if it's 20 on the call. I meet with my team every single Monday. Every single Monday, I meet with my team. Now, back then, what did I do? Man, I showed up every Thursday and Saturday when I first started. I showed up every Thursday and Saturday when I first started. Whether it was showing up to move chairs, to sweep because nobody showed up, I showed up, right? And remember seeing Shannon and some of the top leaders every single Thursday and Saturday. Consistency. Now, I had to challenge myself to commit to something. I'm going to be real with you all. You've heard it many times in my story. Is although I was showing up, I really didn't know what I wanted. Like I was still a little indecisive, even though I knew had the skill set to take consistency, action, then consistency. I didn't want to commit. So I had to challenge myself after y'all heard Phyllis Nash challenge me, and I dodged her for about a month. I stopped showing up on time. I started going in reverse because of something that somebody saw in me, and it put me at pause. I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that. I wasn't coachable. So I dodged her for about a month because she said, every time you show up now, you're going to do the presentations. I was like, how many of you said, I ain't finna do that? So I dodged it for about a month. And I remember she said you were going to do it in September. So I dodged it. I showed up late, intentionally showed up late. What happened? She said and committed me. I didn't even commit myself. And my team knows that I do the same thing with them. She committed me and said, you got out of doing the month of September, and I know what you were doing, but you will not get out of doing October. Now she's a bully like that. Part of me kind of love that part because sometimes you gotta push, and my team knows that I push. So a skill set that I learned is how to push and how to pull at the same time, and then I committed, right? But it was challenging for me, but I accepted the challenge. So, and then I started being consistent, right? And that consistency with challenging myself to do something and building that activity, rain or shine, right? That turned into Saturday's calls, and it turned into committing to just fill in the gap. Wherever there was a window of opportunity, I don't care. So if Will.I.am at the time didn't show up, I'm filling that gap. People didn't show up on the Saturday calls to do the Saturday calls, I filled that gap. I challenged myself to be more consistent. Then, man, let me tell you, something metamorphosized that I had no control over. I didn't even expect it. And somehow my team grew organically. There had to be something that they saw that maybe my consistency, maybe my actions, maybe what I was sharing. Now, I'm going to tell you, the product just worked. So the testimonies and all of that, there was something that started happening that it went boom. It just went boom. I remember getting the system. See, the system that they talked about yesterday, I remember getting my upline. Well, I didn't even get my upline. I did practice getting my upline on the call. It was doing 3 ways. I was just so coachable. I was ignorant. I'm going to be honest. There was a point even though I felt that I knew I was doing, I really didn't know what the outcome. I was ignorant on fire. I talk about Minister Ernestine all the time, who's coachable and just ignorant on fire. Kai, very coachable, but I don't even think I haven't defined it yet, but she's very coachable. I found myself being coachable, and I didn't put my team on a call with my upline. Somehow my upline end up getting in contact with my team and got them on a call, or organically developed team, and then she had a call with them, and then all I saw was my volume go boom. And what appealed to them, I believe, was there's a possibly chance that they too will build a legacy. They will build something bigger than themselves. And that's the third thing, is that in my head, I may have pointed out that I was going for something. I remember some of the testimonies. I remember I was painting the picture that Melissa Boston said to me in that room, that there could be something that I can build bigger. If I take action, I'll be consistent. And the thing was legacy. And I think they started seeing it not just for me, but they started seeing it for themselves. So every call, you all, every sale, when you build a system following certain key points, and you build it brick by brick, person by person, and if your mind is set on your why, legacy. So people heard the story that I bought my woman at the time a ring to become my wife. She went from woman to wife. But it was something that was in my head that Melissa put there that I just couldn't get out, which is why I rock with Melissa today, right? So what are you creating for your future and those who care about you? Because clearly, I know when that CEO looked at me and my woman at the time, there was something that she saw, and it just metamorphosized into being on the wall in our headquarters. So there's something that you have, right, that impacts you. It impacts your families. It impacts your communities. It impacts future generations. And I want you to reflect on that. I want you to ask yourself, what will people say if you take action? What will people say if you be consistent? What will people say about your legacy? What will people say about your work ethic? And how would it impact in you when you look back? Like when I look back and I hear a call like yesterday, let me tell you, how would that impact your journey? I want you to think about that. So yesterday's call, again, the tools that we learned: mindset, problem solving, partnership, the process, and being able to empower and develop. Those are all the things I have to take. Now, I'm going to give myself some props. Even though I didn't understand the system that was laid out, you all, let me tell you, they knocked it out the park with those steps. So I'm really giving them accolades. I just wanted to follow up to take action and everything that you heard yesterday. And man, let me tell you, the only thing standing, the distance between your dreams and reality is called action. So take action today, you all. Back to you, Kathy. Love you all.
Thank you so much, Willie. Appreciate all of that. And listen, I don't have anything else. You dropped the mic. We appreciate you so much. Guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday, having a kind of day. Bye now.